Hi, I'm Sean Ray, and this is your Dallas Real Estate News Update. Story number one, WeWork might be the cause of the downfall of commercial office spaces. This story comes to us from Jessica Porta from TechWire. So she talks about how the feds lowered the rate recently, and because they did that, it allows a lot of people to have access to really cheap capital. And there's certain kind of business models like WeWork that just thrive on cheap capital. And with a lot of office spaces and buildings being built with the idea of filling up these office spaces with these short-term entrepreneur, small business-based kind of models, that whenever a recession comes, which is due to happen potentially next year, then the first people that get hit are small businesses and these kind of independent entrepreneurs. And so whenever that happens, what will happen to these office spaces? If so many square footage of the current office spaces that we have here, at least in Dallas, is these kind of methods and models. And so what also makes me nervous is that they use secondary entities. And so WeWork itself doesn't actually lease up the office spaces. And all these square footages in these commercial offices are done through some other kind of leaseholder. And then they rent out to WeWork. And so say for instance, everything falls apart, then WeWork can back out without any kind of real costs or any kind of consequences. So it leaves a whole lot of commercial space left holding the bag. And then due to this mass vacancies and not a lot of demand, we're gonna see a mass amount of commercial foreclosures. And so that can really hurt the market. And then one last thing to even consider is that the valuation of WeWork just got cut in half as they decided not to release their IPO. And so with a company that's hurting that bad, holding up so much of this market, it's just something to keep in mind on. Story number two, results are in. Airbnb is awesome. This comes from Taylor Tompkins over at Dallas Business Journal, and he talks about how there's certain parts of North Texas that are receiving 57% higher rents per month than they would if they were doing traditional rental. And this kind of surprises me because in my evaluations, whenever I help my clients out, we're seeing more than double. Sometimes we're seeing triple what they would be doing as standard rentals. But he talks about how there's certain areas that are doing better than others. When you look at all the data, Cockrell Hill is seeing some of the highest amount of spread between traditional rental and short-term rental, which if you guys don't know, that's kind of just like West Dallas. And then also Bishop Arts is doing really well, but on average a 20% spread, and Oak Lawn, and then like Lower Greenville. And so it's kind of surprising that he finds that Fort Worth and Arlington have the highest spread, but I think that might have something to do with just the lack of competition in those areas. But ultimately, if you're trying to get into Airbnb investing, you should really base your numbers on a much higher scale than 57%. I appreciate his data that he's done, but I think that might be just to a lot of standard Airbnb rentals that people don't know how to actually run their business like a business. Story number three. DART finally has an east to west line that just broke ground. This story comes to us from Ken Kalhoff from NBC DFW, and what he talks about in the story is that for the last 30 years we've been trying to get the DART to go from a connecting line all the way from Fort Worth, how they have a line that connects all the way to DFW Airport, and they've been wanting to get one that goes from DFW Airport all the way through like Addison, Carrollton, Farmers Branch, Richardson, and Plano, everything like that. And that would connect UTD as well. So that would allow students to get to the school without having to ever need like normal transportation. And so this is finally happening. They just broke ground, and so the UTD people are super excited about it. People in Addison are really excited about it. There are some residents that aren't very happy with the fact that it will create noise and also safety issues going through their neighborhoods. But ultimately, this is going to be a great thing to finally connect Fort Worth all the way through, all east into Dallas. And now you can go north, south, east, west, all around Dallas in a train system that's still not anywhere close to Europe that was built a long time ago. But we're getting there. We need like 100 more lines, and then we might be able to get around Dallas without a car. Story number four, Uber just announced that Dallas is going to be the fourth market that they're going to be testing out experimental self-driving Ubers. What? This story comes to us from Teresa Gibbons from Culture Map, and she talks about how Uber just announced, due to the fact that the downtown headquarters is going to be over in Deep Ellum, and they plan on bringing over 3,000 jobs. The way they plan on bringing some of those 3,000 jobs is that they're going to release self-driving cars, and they're going to start this rollout in November of this year. And so a lot of these people that they're going to be getting the jobs from, the 3,000 jobs they announced, is people that are going to be going around with high definition maps and driving around Dallas and just clocking in all the roads and all the possible scenarios that a car can come across whenever it's self-driving you from one destination to the next. So soon, very soon, you can get into an Uber where there's no one behind the wheel, and then you're going to be just zipping along, and then no one's going to bother you. No one's going to tell you about their day, ask you about your day. You don't got to hear about the creepy Uber guy's story about his family, how they came over. None of that stuff. The day is now. The future is now. And our fifth and final story, that's actually 10. Our fifth and final story is that this week is the best week in real estate to buy. This story comes to us from Miabel Salzano from MarketWatch, and she talks about how the last week of September is like the glory week of all the time in real estate. All the data statistics show that all the inventory that's on the market is increased by 6% on average nationally, but then the demand is decreased by 20-something%. And so what you see is that if you come into the market, then there's going to be much more options than average, but also much less competition. And so it doesn't really apply to that 250,000 and under market. Starts coming in around that $350,000 range, but definitely in the $500,000 to like $700,000 range. You see the new building, new construction, and stuff like that really starting to take a dive right now. And so there's just been an oversupply of construction for the last like 6 months, and especially the ones that weren't able to push it, then they're really hurting right now. And so anybody that's looking to get in the market, with the rates being as low as they are right now, and with it being this time of year, this week is supposed to be like the prime week. And so anybody that wants to reach out to me, I don't just do apartments, I do homes too. Thank you guys so much for watching the Dallas Real Estate News Update this week. If you guys like what you see, then make sure to leave a comment below. I want to make sure that there's actually some people watching this stuff, and I want to create a conversation with you guys. If you like the stories, awesome. Like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the things. But if you don't like the stories, that's cool too. Then comment below or send me a message or an email or something like that with story suggestions. I try to read as many stories a week, that way I can bring the best to you, but there are some that slip through the cracks. And so if you see an awesome story, like Ashley Love did this week, our number 5 story came from her. She saw that and she sent it to me, and I was like, oh, that's really awesome that someone's participating and being part of the community and the conversation. So that could be you. If you see a really cool story, send it my way, and I'll reference you in the next video. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week.